Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public service announcement. For regular viewers and listeners of AWI Pod, please do not be offended, because this program contains good wrestling.
It's my life in the box in front of me. Taking talk in my arms is the soul of me. You walk by, ask to see me laying face down. Your hands on the sword in your hand.
Welcome, everybody. It is the sixth action-packed episode of Warring to Attitude. I am your host, Brent Piles, and I have got with me from the ocean, across the ocean, and from the future, folks. He is the ballroom brawl and disco dance and dynamite stretch and intercontinental playboy, folks. He's more over than Coca-Cola on a podcast. GA Wrestling Night, Glenn Abbott, how you doing? I didn't have anything for it, and I just saw you drinking the Cokes. That's what I want.
Slurping away on me Coke. Yes, I'm doing fine, thank you. I'd just like to say thank you to everybody for putting our watch figures up on the old U of the Tube. Please subscribe, and like, and do all the other things that they tell you to do on that thing that I never bore with. But yeah, thank you.
Like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you never miss an upload. And the only reason why I know that, Glenn, is because my son's been doing YouTube for a while, and he always says that at the end of his videos. So,
yeah, we're not that professional.
If you don't already, make sure you give us. What'd you say?
We're not that professional.
Sorry. No, he's way more professional than I am, and he's only 14. But yeah, if you're listening out there and you don't already subscribe to us on YouTube, make sure you do that. Get us a sub on YouTube. Our numbers have been going up and up and up, and we hope to continue to push them up and up and up further. I don't know why you would want to look at our ugly mugs while we talk about this stuff, but some people do.
I have to be careful now.
Why's that?
Well, have to. What is it? Jeremy said you have to wear pants.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, you did. Pants are definitely pants are not optional when you're on the old.
No.
That is very true. We got anything else we want to cover? Well, I went to SmackDown this weekend.
Oh yes,
on Friday night.
Do you want to give it? I suppose you'll give us a full update on Friday.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more on Friday. But yes, I did go to SmackDown.
Update on how it went.
I went to SmackDown on Friday night. I went with my sister and my youngest son, Bryson, who we were just talking about there. And it was a heck of a time. We were thoroughly sports entertained. Got to see Gunther versus Butch in the old dark match, which brought a smile to my face. So that was a lot of fun. But if you want to hear a further update on that, check out this week's episode. I think we're on AWI Pod Worldwide. I'm not sure because it's been so long since we did one of those shows. But I think we're on AWI Pod Worldwide this week. So if you want to hear more of an in-depth talk about when I went to SmackDown, we'll do that there. Any other pieces of business? Quote, forgive my pun there, Glenn. I did that on purpose. You wanted to get to before we get into this episode?
Only that I've been recognised by Isla Dawn, which is nice.
That's all that matters, pal.
She liked one of my tweets about them.
That's good. That's good. I got I got a reply from a tweet a couple weeks ago from the one and only Samantha Irvine, and that really made my day. So,
yeah, I saw that. That was.
and I got to see her live on Friday night, and she sounds and looks even better in person. Anyway, let's do this, Glenn.
Yes.
Let's talk about it. It was January 27th, 1997, Monday Night Raw. We're still in Beaumont, Texas. We still got the same drunks in the second row. They haven't passed out yet. Way to go, those guys. Because I wasn't sure, if you heard last week's review, I wasn't so sure that they were going to make it to the second recording, but they did, which is pretty impressive. We're still in Texas. This is going to be not a live show. This is a tape show. First of all, they show us a little recap of what happened last week with Gorilla Monsoon announcing the whole Fatal Four, the Final Four match coming up in the next In Your House pay-per-view. And I think that's really the only way it started this thing off. They got right into this match, didn't they?
They certainly did. They didn't hang about at all.
That's what I thought.
I know you're going to not say some nice things about it, but I'll start. I made a note here. It was a typical big, as Big E says, a big meaty men slapping meat.
Yes.
I just wish that it was over now. How many more times is Ahmed Johnson going to be hunting a whole pack of them? It's
a whole
nation of domination, and Ahmed Johnson's trying to take them all on his own. It never works.
No, he apparently hasn't ever seen any of those movies, Glenn, where the one man tries to fight the whole gang. It never works.
It never works.
Never ever works. They also, before the match started, they showed us some footage from a house show at Madison Square Garden where Savio Vega was teaming with old Ahmed Johnson to take on Crush and Farouk. But Savio ends up did he even turn on him, or he just left?
He just left.
That's what it was. So he just left Ahmed to the wolves to get beat up by the Nation of Domination members. And then they showed some weird footage of Sid being mad with the Nation of Domination from Shotgun Saturday Night and trying to hit them with the chair. And I didn't understand why they showed that too. I just didn't understand what that had to do with anything.
No. But later on, there was a thing about Shotgun Saturday where they explained Savio going to the Nation after he beats up Rocky Maivia.
Right. They haven't they haven't fully said that he's joined the Nation of Domination yet. And I think they show a little thing later on where he's kind of talking. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I was just having a bad day, and so I walked out on them." And then it ends up that he does join the Nation later on the night because they beat up Rocky Maivia, who will also become a member of the Nation one day.
I tell you what, I love that Shotgun Saturday. What I saw of that. Wrestling in a nightclub. That is brilliant.
Yeah, very different sort of ambiance.
It was.
Absolutely. I've tried to find these episodes of Shotgun Saturday Night so I can watch them. They don't have them on Peacock or the network as you've got it, and I can't really find them on YouTube. I can find clips. I can't really find whole shows because I think those would be fun to have a watch one of those and maybe do a little review of it too, just because it's something.
It was probably whoever aired it has probably got the rights to it and not the WWE.
That's probably true. That's probably a good point.
Well, they've not seen the light of day since.
Yeah, because you would expect at least maybe a couple of episodes would be out there somewhere, but you really can't find them anywhere. Crush gets the upper hand to start the match as we get some of the Nation members distracting Ahmed Johnson. Like I said, we still had the same drunks in the second row who were still going 100% on Clarence Mason. They hadn't had enough Bud Light to do that. And the White Rappers. I forgot about the White Rappers. Midway through the match, they show Farouk in the back. He's peeping out from behind the curtain, Vader style. If you remember, Vader did that in one of our episodes too, where he was watching the match from behind the curtain like this.
Yeah.
Very straight. I didn't understand that. Glenn, what in the world was going on between the two guys? So they went to a commercial break. They come back, and Ahmed Johnson's got Crush up on his shoulders. What the hell was going on there?
It was amazing. It was the second amazing thing that Ahmed does during this match. The other one being that you actually believe that nearly 300-pound big meaty guy like Ahmed Johnson could launch himself into a missile drop kick on Crush as Crush was coming down off the top rope. That was excellent.
I have that in my notes too. Yeah, Crush was trying to do like a top rope double axe handle, and Ahmed caught him with a beautiful drop kick coming off the top. Which is, I mean, Ahmed's a big guy,
Yeah.
so for him to get up like that is pretty goddamn impressive. And I think that's why a lot of people like myself, when Ahmed first came on the screen, we kind of magnified to that because he had like a, I don't know how to put it, like an animalistic sort of aura to him. Does that make sense, or does that sound crazy?
No, it's very true. He should have done better. They should have done more with him than they did.
Right. And I think they had strapped the rocket to him before he got injured with the whole Farouk thing, because I remember he had won like a battle royal and he was like the #1 contender. But then the whole lacerated kidney thing happened with Farouk, and I think that really kind of cooled him off a little bit. And we'll talk more about Ahmed Johnson's career as we go through the year of 1997. But that the animalistic kind of quality of him, and then like the way he could just throw himself around and the way he launched himself out of the ring, like he was doing suicide dives and shit for a guy his size. I'd never seen
That's
that.
right.
So I was a huge Ahmed Johnson fan.
And he was the first. He was the first one I actually seen to a standing moonsault.
Yeah.
Again,
like Ricky Lee,
guy that size, you shouldn't be able to do that sort of thing.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, I think the highlight of the match was the drop kick off the top. Farouk comes out, and he kind of steps out from behind the curtain, attacks Ahmed Johnson behind the ref's back, which helps Crush hit the heart punch for the win. This match was just kind of there for me. I know you said you really liked it, but I didn't have the same result with me. It was just kind of there for me.
But then again, this is what you expect from an opener of these recorded draws. It was still better than anything that they put on that week before the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, this was still light years better than that show. Yeah, absolutely. And this is just kind of furthering all this was to further the storyline more with Ahmed Johnson versus the Nation of Domination. That's all they were trying to do with this. So that they accomplished their goal in that. The next thing we got was a segment where we got HBK in the ring talking to Vince McMahon about his big title win against Sid at the Royal Rumble. Did I miss something?
No, huge pop. And he came out. Huge pop.
You look like you had something you wanted to add, so that's why I asked you. And then he talks about his upcoming rematch with Psycho Sid at Raw Thursday, which I believe is in 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks, we'll be covering Raw Thursday. Also, I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the show, Glenn. This will be the last time that we watch a 45-minute episode of Raw, because from here on out, we're looking at an hour and a half, pal. So I hope you enjoyed these 3 or 4 short shows.
It's still better than 3 hours.
Oh, yeah. Anything's better than 3 hours. Absolutely. And then they kind of talk about the upcoming 4-way match, and I got a little promo from Shawn Michaels here that we'll play in regard to that 4-way.
And lately, everybody's been talking about the attitudes of some of the WWF superstars. Me, for one, everybody says I've got sort of a bad attitude. Sometimes you like me, sometimes you don't. The question is it all about this? Yes, it is. This right here, the World Wrestling Federation Championship, brings out either the very best in all of us, or it brings out the very worst. And lately, it is bringing out the worst in the WWF superstars. But being bad is what's going to make me great, and being bad is what I'll be, and being bad is where I'm at, and being the World Wrestling Federation champion is where I want to stay.
Glenn, there was a point at the beginning of that thing where did anything catch your eye of what he said at the beginning of that promo?
Not really.
The attitudes, Glenn. He mentioned the attitudes of the superstars in WWE. I think that's kind of the first attitude mention that we get. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I was more concentrating on the fact that it'd taken so many shots to the head from Sid at the Rumble. He's now turned heel.
Into it. Yeah. I thought he kind of went at the end of it. He was like losing his words. He kind of went Psycho Sid with us. If being bad's going to be there, then I'm going to be bad. And being fair is bad, and I'm bad. Then I'm going to be the World Wrestling Federation champion.
Yeah, he just
That's what I took away.
tries so hard to be mean.
Right.
He just totally lost it.
Yeah, he really did. Yeah, he wasn't really sure where he was going to go with that. Vince then brings Brett out to the ring as well. Brett tells Shawn Michaels that he needs to do whatever it takes to keep that belt because he wants to face Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania after he wins the Final Four. He also goes as far as to say that maybe he'll even be watching Shawn's back, which made me laugh just
yes.
Because we know how that goes.
That's the sort of bodyguard. Bret Hart is the sort of bodyguard you want against Sid.
Especially if you're Shawn Michaels, I don't think Bret Hart's ever the bodyguard. And then Vince kind of interrupts at the end and asks Bret if he thinks he's overlooking Sid, which I don't know why, but I just thought that was a really weird place for Vince to jump in. It just felt very, very strange to me.
Yeah, well, he knows what's going to happen. Nobody else seems to.
I guess that's a good point. And then he brings up the Undertaker as well, and like the Undertaker really hadn't cut a whole lot of the boisterous promos up until 96, 97. But I really, really enjoyed this promo, and of course, since we enjoyed it so much, let's play a little bit for the people at home as well.
But I'm getting sick and tired of how you've been screwed out of the World Wrestling Federation title.
Yeah, me too.
If you want to talk about screwed, you look at my history. You look back at last year's Royal Rumble. That is rightfully mine. Now, I've sat back too long, and I've let everybody go their own way. But I think it's time that comes to the dark side. No longer will I be the hunted, but I will now be the hunter, which unfortunately for you, Shawn Michaels, puts you and me at WrestleMania. Give your soul to the Lord, because that belt and your body will belong to me.
That was great. It was a really
It was
very good.
It was. It's a classic take of that.
Especially the whole ending part where you better give your soul to the Lord because your body and that title belongs to me. I think is really good. And then of course Shawn Michaels looked like he was a bit terrified after those those words from the Undertaker, and who could blame him? Because I would be too. And then of course they bring Austin out because they've brought out everyone else who's going to be in the finals four. So why not bring out Austin? Austin stops short. Austin stops short in the Iowa, and of course this is a really good promo too. So we've got.
From where I stand right now, I see 3 crybabies and little boy Blue. You all sit there and piss and moan about everything you want to. At the Final Four, I'll wait my opportunity then. No disqualification is right down my alley. I threw both of your asses over the top rope. Shawn Michaels, you know, son, if you'd have been in there, I'd have done the exact same thing to you. Come February 16th, that's when I'll get mine. No second thought, I'll whip your asses right now.
The bit that you missed at the beginning of that made me chuckle. As he comes out there, stops and looks at them all and says, "I can see an ambush." He said, he said, "I can see an ambush when I see it. That's an ambush when I see it," or something like that. He said to it.
Right. An ambush. I ever saw one, something like that, because Jared was kind of talking to him in the aisleway, and then Vader just kind of shows up behind him. They didn't bring Vader out, announce Vader. Vader didn't say a goddamn word. He was just kind of, who is that man in the shadows? So, needless to say, of the 4 out of the 4 guys, I'd say Vader has the least chance to win at the Final Four.
Yeah, you would think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and then after watching this promo segment, you know for a fact that he's
not going to win. No, didn't even get to the ring.
Yeah,
Mm.
My favorite was Austin pretends like he's going to get in the ring and then
That's
just
it.
doesn't.
Yeah. Well, why would you?
Yeah.
If you're the Texas rattlesnake, you know exactly what everybody else in that ring is thinking. Because you're thinking exactly the same thing. So why would you put yourself in harm's way if you don't need to?
Right. He ain't no
No,
dummy.
he's not.
Then we come back from a commercial break, and they let us know that Ahmed Johnson has got a 2x4 hacksaw Jim Duggan style, and he is in the back looking for the Nation of Domination.
No.
He now spends the rest of the show searching the Montogi Center in Beaumont, Texas, that holds like 8,000 people. How long could he be searching for them in this arena? I figure you just
all
go,
15 of them.
well, I haven't seen him.
So, yeah, there's not. So you're looking for one man, is it? There's about 15 of them. So
Right. And one of them is Ron Simmons, one of the greatest college football players in the history of football.
Mm.
He's a big man. And Brother Crush is short. He's a tall guy, too. He's got fucking tattoos on his face. I think you could find him, Ahmed. What are you doing?
Yeah. And with the two little white
My next
rappers
question is,
in tow as well.
yeah. Where do you get the 2x4? Do you just find it laying around the back, or do you carries it with him everywhere?
That's poor old Jim Duggan's fault. He's got such a bad memory, he just left them laying around anywhere that he went. So nearly every arena's got a 2x4 laying around.
That's a good point. I didn't think of that. I didn't think of that at all. You're right. Hacksaw just has boards everywhere, pal. Oh! Some wrestlers left rats. He left boards everywhere. Rats and pills. Anyway, the next match was a one-on-one contest between tag teams match that we enjoyed last week. The British Bulldog took on Doug Furness in a one-on-one match after their great tag team match the week before. I was really looking forward to watching this one. Both of the guys had their respective tag team partners with them, of course. Glenn, what do you think about this one?
Before we get into how good this was, can I say, have we only got about 12 people on the roster at the moment?
Right.
That's
because it's just the same people every week.
Round and round and round.
Yeah, because you think about it. Every week we get Bret Hart, Vader, Michaels, Austin, Undertaker, the Nation of Domination, Doug Furness, Phil LaFon, Owen Hart, and Bret Hart. That's it.
Yeah, and the Bulldog. Nobody else.
And the Bulldog,
Nobody else. But having said that, again, I love this Davey. This is the guy that I first knew. He got himself clean. Yeah, obviously lost a bit of definition, but he looks like he's just been training in the gym and not using chicken and other things to enhance his body. And if anything,
only using the old hard work.
And if anything, especially in this match, more so than the tag last week, he looked quicker. He looked sharper.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. There was one point in this match where he picked up the steps on the outside and just slammed them down onto Furness's body, and then he got back in the ring and just did like a fucking head spring.
Yep.
He just did a real quick head spring. So I think that's another thing of what you're saying about how he looked, like just fresh and a lot quicker than we were probably going to be used to seing him later in his career,
Right.
and even probably in the early 90s, I think he's much quicker now.
Oh yeah, because we know I think it's fairly well advertised that he was abusing substances even in '92. So by this time, I think if I remember rightly, he was told about 95 that either he got himself clean or died. very soon.
Yeah.
About 6 months to live. And that's basically why he went away and then came back over here. Started training with his old trainer and got himself clean. And then came back into the WWF as a new man, shall we say.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell just from watching this match and the matches we have watched recently about the quickness and just that you can just
Yeah.
see it, just in his
Yeah.
face, you can just see that he's looking a lot healthier. Absolutely.
It's just
They also show.
Sorry, it's just sad that they put so much strain on his body that it took its toll eventually. He did it
Right.
too late.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you could probably say the same thing about Eddie
Yeah.
Guerrero. I mean, he ended up getting clean too, but it was probably too late by that
That's
point.
right.
They show Ahmed Johnson in the back kicking in the door, the Nation of Domination's locker room door, and there was nobody inside,
No,
Glenn,
of course not.
which I found was strange that the door would be locked from the inside when there's nobody inside. Oh, that was weird.
Well, it makes sense in this nonsense.
None of this made. You're right.
I'm trying to make sense.
I'm trying to bring sense into a nonsensical world. You're right. One of my favorite parts during the match that had nothing to do with the action is they cut back after the showing this Ahmed Johnson thing to Owen Hart for a second, and you can hear him yelling at Phil LaFon, "I hate him! I hate him! He gives Canadians a bad name, just like my stinking brother Brent," which I thought was really funny. I thought that was pretty funny.
And then we get the slammy action again. That the first seeds of the breakup between the Bulldog and Owen are being sown here.
Yeah, they planted that first seed, I think, of the Rumble when he kind of tossed Davey out. And now they're watering that seed with what happened here. Owen's gonna try to hit Doug Furness with his Slammy Award, but Furness he reverses the Irish Whip. Even though it did kind of look like Owen was aiming for Davey anyway.
I'm sure he was.
Kind of looked like to me. He hits Davey instead. Davey still manages to kick out a 2 on a roll up. Owen kind of got in the ring. I think he was trying to break up the pin, and then he ends up punching. Furness ends up punching Owen. He falls out of the ring, but then Davey rolls up Furness for the 1-2-3, gets the win. But then we kind of have a shouting match and a pushing and shoving match. Davey Boy throws down the tag team belts and Owen Slammy, which Owen was very upset about. It seemed toward the end, though, that Clarence Mason managed to calm the two down as they left the ring together. So they're really pushing this rift between them.
I love the King during this as well. When the Slammy fell over and you go, "That's not a good sign. That's not a good omen."
You gotta love the King. And then they show you the Shotgun Saturday Night stuff that we talked about where they talk to Savio Vega, and he says that he hasn't joined the Nation. He was just having a bad day when he turned on Ahmed Johnson. And then we find out that he's a liar, and he is now official member of the Nation.
He certainly is.
So if you're counting at home, they've got Brother Crush, 2 white rappers, Downtown D'Lo Brown, and Farouk and Clarence Mason in the Nation of Domination for now. And then, Glenn, we got to the main event of the evening, which is another one where you look at it on paper and go, I don't know how great this is going to be, but it was pretty good. We get the unlikely pairing of Vader and Mankind, who are both accompanied by Paul Bearer, and they are taking on Phineas and Henry, the Godwins, and Hillbilly Jim, who took time out of his busy schedule of giving his Hall of Fame speech to be here with those two tonight, which was very nice of him. Glenn, how do you feel about the unlikely tag team combination of Vader and Mankind?
It did exactly what it needed to do. Mankind did a lot of the heavy lifting in this match. Mick Foley at his best.
Yeah. So I guess they have to do
not tagging in Vader, getting Vader wound up. Just taking a beating. I love it when he's just sit there in the corner, rocking away, and there's Vader just holding his hand out. It could have, but to be fair to Vader, he could have quite easily done a blind tag there and tagged himself in, But no, he controlled himself. Stuck by the rules, which is amazing.
Yeah.
It's good to see the tag team rules adhered to. He didn't do any dodgy blind tags. He just let Mankind sit there and take the punishment.
Yeah. And there was just kind of like there were spots in this match where you could see that they weren't the most cohesive unit. I think there was one time where like Vader slapped Mankind or something like that. But with a person like Mankind, slapping could be a term of endearment. Like, here, let me slap you. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
He
Slap
does,
me
doesn't
again.
he? He thanks Vader by hitting him with a chair.
He does at the end. Yeah, he does thank Vader by hitting him with a chair. They also start promoting next week's show, which they're calling Royal Rumble Raw. And they're claiming, Glenn, this is a claim that I know doesn't happen, that they're going to show the full 1997 Royal Rumble match in its entirety during Raw. And I know for a fact that they don't do that. So I know that they probably had some pissed off people who tuned in the next week to see the full Royal Rumble match and didn't get to see it.
That would piss me off a bit.
I would. Yeah, I would say so. I want to say that maybe they promoted this, and then the pay-per-view companies called them and said, what the fuck do you think
we're
you're
still
doing
doing reruns at the moment.
Can't do that. Right, exactly. Don't do that. And so I guess we'll see what happens next week. But yeah, a little coexistence problem between these two. One of my favorite spots in the match was Mankind locks in the mandible claw on Phineas Godwin, and old Henry Godwin just gets in the ring and just knocks both of them out of the ring. The only way to break this is to just bull in a china shop this thing and knock them both to the outside.
Still attached. Check.
Yeah.
That's what my thought was. Is when as you're out there laying on the floor, check you've still got all your fingers and they're not in Mankind's mouth.
Right. And then we get like some teamwork between Vader and Mankind because they've got Henry Godwin on the inside of the ring, and they're both on the outside on the apron, and they kind of do that flip, do the thing with the rope, and they flip to the outside. And then, like you said, Mankind picks up a chair, goes to hit one of the hog farmers with it, misses, and just clocks Vader. Didn't say he was sorry though, and he just said thank you. And then somehow that gives the hog farmers the win, even though Mankind hit his own tag.
Well, it's because they won by a count out.
Oh, I thought it was a disqualification.
No, it's a count out. Because both Mankind and Vader were outside the ring. The hog farmers had got back into the ring, so the referee just counted Mankind and Vader out. But it took me.
That makes more sense. I thought they disqualified.
It took me 2 looks to actually realize that's what had happened.
Well, you pay better attention than I do, Glenn, because I watched this shit twice and I never even caught it. So, another takeaway that I took from this match is like Henry Godwin was kind of saddled with a stupid gimmick here. He's a hog farmer, but man, he's a big fucking. He's built like a brick shithouse. I mean, that guy can move. I wouldn't want to fight that man. It's kind of strange that later on, Phineas will go on to do other things, but Henry never really does anything else in WWE besides this, and I think Southern Justice, which is basically the Godwins with suits.
That's right.
So the Godwins pick up the win here. We finish out the show we find out that Ahmed Johnson has finally found the Nation of Domination in the back. They have been loading their car this whole time. Could have just checked the parking lot.
You ought to know by now, you don't go anywhere near a WWF or E parking lot.
Well, he'll learn. If he didn't learn, he
learned the hard way,
as they say. And he catches them out in the parking lot. He starts beating up one of the white rappers, and instead of like choking him or throwing him on the ground, he throws him into the trunk of the car and then shuts the trunk of the car. And then the car drives off.
Shot him in the car, in the boot. Lovely.
And he only hit him a couple of times. Like, I could see if it was his car, and now he's going to take this white rabbit to another location and really beat the shit out of him. But you just gave him a reprieve. You put him in the trunk. You did him a favor. You should just beat him up.
I suppose, but if you're going to lock anybody in the trunk of a car, you'd think it would be like Crush, one of the bigger guys that's going to try and beat you up, rather than one of the rappers that you could squash with your thumb.
Right. I would have just took one of the. If I'm Ahmed Johnson, I'd pick up one of the right rappers. I throw him from Belmont, Texas to Houston, which is about 80 miles. And then I'd start beating, and then I'd throw Farouk in the trunk, shut it, beat up
Yeah.
Crush. That's what
Yeah,
I would
that's
do.
it.
But
No,
no, Ahmed's
no.
like,
We'll
no, he's in the trunk.
We'll take the 180-pound man and put him in the trunk. That gets him out of the way. I'm not in so much danger now.
Right. I've saved myself. And I know we all played it. We played a little drinking game with this show last week where we took a drink every time Bret Hart said belt. Well, this week I want you to go back and have a drink every time that Vince McMahon reminds us that Ahmed Johnson is looking for the Nation of Domination in the locker room, because he said it a bunch. Ahmed Johnson, he's currently stalking the backstage area, looking for the Nation of Domination. Ladies and gentlemen, Ahmed Johnson, currently looking for the Nation of Domination. Shit.
That's very good. That's a very good impression.
Thanks. I've been working on it for 5 years. Well, that's it for this week. Join us next week. Like I said, we're moving on from the 1-hour versions and we're moving to the 2-hour versions. And next week is going to be a glorified house show from the Sky Dome in Toronto, Canada. So that'll be fun, Glenn.
Yeah, so no Royal Rumble then.
No, you will not get to see the Royal Rumble match like they said you did. They're lying. You'll get to see highlights, but that's it.
Kikaki.
And Glenn, if you had to guess one of the matches that we will see on next week's Raw, it's a tag team match. Who do you think it's going to be between?
Owen and the Bulldog against Furnace and the Fawn.
You got it, Al. It's going to be Doug Furnace and Phil LaFon versus Owen Hart and the British Bulldog, which was great. So I don't think we're going to be complaining about it much. But I just thought that was funny. They're going to be going at it again.
Amazes me. There's nobody else on this roster. How did they manage to do a Royal Rumble? I'm sure that
That's why they had all those Triple A guys.
I'm sure we had 30 guys in that Royal Rumble. And then again, think about it. Yeah, only think of 6. Oh no, Bob Backlund.
Like I said, I know Supernetico, Mil Mascaris was in there. There was
Bob Backlund.
Heavy Metal, the Latin Lover.
Yeah, Bob Backlund, he turned up, didn't he?
And the King was in there for a minute or two. Fake Razel, fake
30
Diesel.
seconds.
Terry Funk was there. Your mother's a whore. Anyway, Glenn, let me ask you this. Your match of the week this week, I think we're both going to agree with this
it's got to be the Bulldog against Doug Furnace.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
This building,
I can't disagree. Are we going thumbs up? Go ahead.
Thumbs up.
Sorry. I'm going to give one thumb up, one thumb in the middle. It was an okay show. It wasn't great. It wasn't it wasn't
that was for the match. That's for the show. 1.5 for the show.
Okay, 1.5 for the show. Yeah, the match gets 2 thumbs up for sure because the match was really, really good. Even the finish, I really like the finish because you're just further pushing.
That's it. The story's progressing between Owen and the Bulldog.
Right. And I also wouldn't have been the worst thing either to give Furnace the win here because they haven't got a win over them. So, I mean, either way you would have won, it would have been fine. So, but yeah, I'm going 1 thumb up, 1 thumb in the middle for the show this week. So is Glenn. Make sure you join us next week. Glenn, you got anything else we want to talk about before we get out of here?
Just all the usual. Give the BT. I'm booking the territory.
Check out BT Sport.
BT Sport, yeah. I'm booking the territory, DDT, the Doctor Who pod, all the great listening stuff out there on your podcast provider of choice.
Give them all a listen. Check out the Bang Bang podcast. It's back now. And make sure, as always, you give our buddy and our other co-host, the Mayor of Canton, a follow on Twitter, @Mayor of Canton. He does the Meal with the Mayor every week, Wednesdays, when you can check that out. He'll make you hungry. He'll make you want to eat something that's bad for you. But if you only do it once a week, you're not doing so bad. And our last plug, as always, make sure you give our buddy Thomas Bryce a follow on Twitter. It's Thomas Bryce 2017. And make sure you check out Sports Wire Radio. Give it a listen. We're on there. Sit down marks are on there. There's lots of great stuff on there. Make sure you give it a listen. Check out the Sports Report live every Friday night. That's it, Glenn. I got nothing else.
What we're doing this week with the mayor? Is it? Are we back?
I believe it's AW iPod Worldwide. I believe we're watching an episode of Worldwide.
So we're back with WCW. Wonderful.
We'll be back with 1990 WCW. Yep.
Okay.
So that should do it. So there's only one thing left to do, and that's for Glenn to say
Goodbye.